Hello and welcome to the Footy Mailbag. I am your host this week, Clarky, and joining me as always is our favourite man out west, Damothy.
Damothy?
I'm assuming that's what Damo is short for. Damothy, Donathan, Damathan,
Sure, I think I prefer Damothy if we're going to go with any of them.
Damica,
No. Let's, no.
Demonica.
Where are you getting these names from?
I don't know, just throwing them out there, just putting Damo, I don't know, whatever your full name is. It's Damo, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm on a heavy course of antibiotics this week because I've been sick, but I'm getting to the end of it, so I should be good soon.
Hell yeah, I hope you feel better soon, man, that sucks. How's your team looking? Maybe we should do like a little check-in. I know at some point during this preseason we will do team reveals, but how is your team currently tracking? Are you happy with it? Are we making changes with the community series happening, or?
The more I'm hearing about rookies, I'm doing like sort of shuffling there and trying to see who I can fit where. I think on field I'm pretty set. It's just trying to sort out my bench now, which doesn't feel like a massive thing that we need to worry about, but having the players on the bench is good for security, good for cash generation, if nothing else. But it feels like all the players that we sort of were confident on early on in the preseason aren't really showing up now, and now we're trying to find other guys who are cheap enough to sit there.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, we have so much hope and so many options until we start seeing squad makeups. I think I'm doing the same thing with my team, right? Like, I have a nice little pool of primos that I've tried and tested in all the positions, but I can't lock them in until I've got the rookies to go around them, because I'm trying to leave myself some wiggle room to pay maybe a little bit more on some of them and a little bit less on others. It's just a minefield, isn't it, Damo?
Yeah, for sure. And after watching the Essendon practice match, I thought someone like a Jacob Farrow or a Dyson Sharp would be pretty much locked in, but from all reports on Track Watches, they're behind some guys that were taken later in the draft and even from the year before. They're at the back of the queue still. So I thought Jacob Farrow would be able to be locked into our defence or even our midfield because he's dual position, but Farrow and Sharp are still trying to get their foot in the 23 at Essendon by the sound of it.
It's such a double-edged sword for Essendon because they blooded so many new players last year that it feels like they found new depth to their positions. So no matter what's going on, like even all these guys are great, it's maybe we need to check ourselves a little bit in that expectation where, hey, Essendon actually have a good playing list now that they know who they want in all of their positions. So there's actually not as much room as we think for all these really talented young players. Farrow and Sharp are, absolutely talented individuals, but sometimes they don't have the benefit of coming into that system, which does put them behind, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, I think Farrow is more of a chance, is still a chance, and I think Sharp is still a pretty good chance. Essendon fans tell me that they should be playing, but fans aren't selecting the team every single week. But I feel like they need to play these guys that they selected early, Farrow and Sharp, because they traded into a position where they could get these picks to get these players. So it just would make sense for these guys to line up. But mate, it would throw some teams into disarray if they don't.
Yeah, absolutely. I know currently I have, let's count them, I have at least 3 Bombers in my side, 2 of them being the rookies that we just mentioned that I'm using for the price point because they're both kind of that weird mid-price rookie.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got them locked in there now, but I'm not confident that we're going to see them, really. And I've got guys like Annabelle as well who just how do you fit a guy like Annabelle in such a talented Brisbane side is what I keep on asking myself.
Well, I mean, I've kind of gone away from Dan Annabelle because he wasn't selected in Brisbane's community series game. So he played a full game with the VFL squad, but he's not with the AFL team. And I mean, Brisbane are missing a lot of guys in their community series game. And so it's a bit of a surprise that Annabelle still couldn't get a look in.
The Brisbane and Gold Coast Community Series game is playing as we speak, and it's already getting me to look at. It's doing that thing, Damo, right? I'm looking at players who I never even considered and probably shouldn't be considering, but hey, Logan Morris kicked 4 goals and is currently, according to Footy Info, on 77 Supercoach points. Like, it's not bad. It's just started the third quarter, about halfway through the third quarter currently.
I just want to tell people, like, I just want to caution people with these community series games. There's always going to be a Sean Atlee type that scores like 110, and then there's going to be a Bontempelli type player that only scores a 40. And people will go, oh, well, this Bontempelli type premium isn't good enough. I should be going for the cheaper Sean Atlee type. But then when the season proper begins, Sean Atlee goes back to his customary 60s, and the Bontempelli type goes back to his captain-worthy 120s, and everyone sort of wonders, why couldn't we see this in the preseason? And it's just kind of, don't pick players up that you weren't expecting to have in your team or that you didn't do any research on. The reason the team picker is so good is because we don't use up trades by going through all the different motions of having different players in our teams and different structures in our teams. So you should have at least looked at least 20 guys from almost each position so that you know who you like and how you like your team if that's the way you have to go. You don't want to get yourself away from a premium because that you've been hot on all preseason just for that one guy who posted 110 in a preseason match. That's, what he does every preseason but can never back it up.
Yeah, Damo, you're currently writing some community series notes on the website, thefootymailbag.net, and those are available to all of our beloved listeners and anyone who wants to go to our website and find our feed and send us questions and follow us on the socials. Please go and visit the website. What do you think so far? There's only been 2.5 matches.
Yeah.
What do you think is the number one consideration for players when they're looking at the community series?
You got to look for role. You got to look for comfort. So, for example, if you're looking at a rookie, you got to see how well they are adjusting to the pace of the game, the skills of the game, and then you just got to see, like, are they getting through it? Are they fit? Are they running okay? Are they around the contest enough? They don't necessarily need to have 35 disposals and kick 4 goals every single week, but you want them to at least look comfortable and fit, and they're not going to go hard in a community series game that doesn't really add anything to the season apart from fitness. So yeah, so I think the rookies you want to look at, if you want to look at the rookies and make sure they're comfortable, and then you want to look at the premiums to make sure that they're fit and have the role that you desire and that is good for them for the season. You don't necessarily need them to score well, though.
Yeah, I think this is definitely not the time that we should be cracking each other's heads open and feasting on the goo inside. And especially don't be doing that with your Supercoach team. So you got to remember as well, listeners, this is Clarkie's advice for the preseason. Don't let this dissuade you based entirely on one performance from a premium. I'm seeing a lot of people jumping off premiums because of a bad preseason performance. And it's just not the way to go unless there is a significant change or a significant injury. Don't let yourself be fooled because time on ground has been limited for some of these players. Load management is happening, and players who genuinely are just coming back from injury. There's lots of things that can happen between now and the season, and you got to remember that although clubs are taking this seriously, this is more of a dress rehearsal compared to the match sims, right? This is very much, right, we need to see that our system works and that we have the correct players, but we're not going to risk, we're not going to risk Lockie Neal. We're not going to risk, any of the Ashcrofts or McCluggage. We want them to get through this unscathed and know that our system is effective against another side. So don't use this as a reason to jump off the known quantities that you have faith in. Does that make sense? Like, don't let it shake your belief in some of the top line guys.
Yeah, really should
be. Look at the ones that you're already uncertain about. Then look for that role and all the things that we just spoke about. Or you just spoke about very, very effectively.
Yeah. Yep.
Damo, I'm being told by little birdie, you, that there are some new names coming into the Supercoach platform that have already been added. In fact, one of them has already played an Amy Community Series match at the time of recording.
Yeah, so the SSP signings are coming through. The Dockers kicked it off by signing Chris Sherry. He's in Supercoach as a 99k mid forward and a chance to play early. I don't know if it's round 1, but he's a chance to play early on. So he might be someone you stash on your bench if you need that 99k swing between your midfield and your forward line. Wade Dirksen was signed by Carlton and then played against Geelong, and he looked really, really good. I actually think he's a chance to line up against Sydney in the opening round and then, team up with the likes of your Wiedering and Harry Dean for the season. And I'm surprised that he has taken this long to come into an AFL team. He obviously was signed by the Giants, didn't really get a crack there because of their depth. And then...
Oh, that's why I know his name. And God, Damo, the penny's just dropping. like Dirk, I was watching parts of the game yesterday. I saw his name kept popping up and I'm like, wait, Dirksen, I know that. I know this name. This name sounds familiar. Does he have like a brother? Or is... No. Well, you're right. He was on the Giants list and I can literally picture his little icon now and being like, I don't know who that guy is.
Do you know something even funnier, Clarky? In fact, you might not find this funny, but I find this funny.
Well, let's find out, Damo. Don't undersell the story.
He requested a trade to Melbourne last off-season, the off-season just gone.
Yes.
And he failed a physical.
Failed?
He failed their physical. So,
did he die?
But then he went and played in the Northern Territory Football League over the summer and was one of the better key position players in that league. So whatever the ailment was that made him fail the physical to be traded to Melbourne, he's clearly over it now and now at Carlton.
That makes me feel you know what, that's actually really good because if he was so close to falling out of the system but has given them a reason to sign him, that's the biggest thing, right? Like clubs don't just sign players for no reason. So I think at 99k, and I thought he played quite a good game. I agree with you. I definitely, he passed the vision test for me. I think, fingers crossed, listeners, and touch wood wherever you're at, we might have a 99k rookie on our hands.
Yeah, yep.
And that's like Christmas. That's like Supercoach Christmas.
And some other SSP guys got signed. Barlin O'Brien and Mitch Zaddo got signed at Port Adelaide. They're not going to play.
Those guys.
And then Tom Blamires, who won the Fothergill medal in the VFL, he got signed by North Melbourne. I'm actually interested in him as a potential rookie option. He won the Best Young Player Award in the VFL, whatever that's called. The Fothergill medal, I think, is what it's called. But he was also working in the front office for Collingwood last season as well. So he's had to leave that job and now he's at North Melbourne and hopefully plays because he's 23 or 24 or thereabouts or something in that range of age. And I think he's a chance to also play early in the season.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen with North this year is anyone's guess. So let's hope that they are able to utilize some of this young talent to elevate themselves, or at least just to give us a break in the Supercoach world if they're not going to give their fans a break by actually winning more.
For sure, yeah. I think this SSP signings this season have been less influential on our Supercoach teams than they have been in the past. We've kind of had 2, 3, 4, sometimes up to 5 guys signed in this period that come straight into teams and play straight away. I don't think we're going to get that. I don't think we're going to get that with this crop. I think we might get Wade Dirksen and maybe Blamires, and then that's it for a little while. I think Sherry plays eventually. I think Mitch Zaddo might play eventually, but Barlin O'Brien won't play at all. And then there's other signings that could potentially crop up, but they're all development prospects at the clubs that they're at.
Yeah, for sure. Damo, we mentioned that the community series matches have started. We're about 2.75 through the way of the Amy community series. But a little bit of controversy last night in the Carlton Geelong game. Sam DeConnick went up for a ruck contest, knee first. Mark Pitney decided, yeah, I'm not going to cop a knee to the chest, and essentially sidestepped him and got possession of the ball. And this was stepping, what was he? He stepped over the crossway point, the halfway point of the middle circle, which we now know is illegal. And this was called a free kick by the umpire, but a little bit controversial as people were saying that the implementation of the new ruck rules is a little bit spotty, because why should Pitney have been forced to cop a DeConnick knee as elevation just because DeConnick jumped first, sailing at him? And I can see the argument for this, because later in that game, Shannon Neal was injured in a ruck contest after the two bodies collided, and is now in doubt for opening round at least, if not more. I don't think we should be expecting rucks to just be bashing together like a toddler playing with action figures.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is they don't think the Shannon Neal injury is going to be a long-term one. So if he misses opening round and then maybe round 1, he should be back for round 2 or not long after their bye early on in the season. But it comes to, I think Max Gawn said it after the State of Origin game, the new ruck rules need to also allow the ruckman to shield themselves from injury. So if one player jumps and misses, the other one should be able to walk across the line to contest the ball. It shouldn't be a case of both rucks needing to jump. And if we get
he said what? It's just two rucks jump. It's just two people jumping at each other now, isn't it?
Yeah. He said there's no craft in it anymore. So I think the rule will get adjusted if there's injuries that come out of the preseason matches or even opening round or the early rounds. I think they will adjust it slightly to protect the players, because I know that if there is lots of injuries to do with knees and legs with ruckmen because of this new rule, there's going to be a bit of uproar from the AFL Players Association to do with player safety.
Yeah, and I can only see this really going one of a few ways, right? The players always find ways to take unique advantage of newly implemented rules. We saw it quite a lot with the stand rule, where for a pretty long time, there at least a whole season, maybe a season and a half, people trying to fake out a breaking of the stand rule, right? And it happens a little bit less frequently now, maybe because the defenders are a bit more like whatever, I can't do anything about it because I've been told to stand. But this is like, you've got one, the injuries caused by another ruckman going like, oh, well, they've already jumped at me, I'm not going to jump because I don't want to clash with them. And then they end up getting injured, or the person injures their knee or something similar to that. 2, both ruckmen go, well, I have to jump for it, otherwise I can't contest for it. Once again, massive injury risk. It's just 2 of the biggest players on the field colliding together. Massive risk for like PCL, MCL, ACL, or the big 3, as we like to call it. And then number 3, which is just like, oh, I'm not engaging in this ruck contest at all, or I'm going to find a way to use that person's momentum to unbalance them, which would then potentially cause injury, like force them to lose the ruck contest by positioning your body in a certain way, I imagine, so that the knee can't connect or they can't get the leverage to go for the ball, and then, awkward landing on the ground, and that's it, you're done. So none of these options really feel like a good option to protect the players.
Yeah.
Am I not thinking of another option where?
Look, I understood where Greg Swan came from when he introduced the rule. He didn't like the fact that the ruckman would just sort of like sit in each other's laps and wrestle before the ball got to them, and there wasn't it was more looked like a wrestling match with an egg introduced halfway through.
The proud art of sumo has always needed a ball. The very rich, deep cultural history of sumo would have been completely changed if they introduced an egg, Damo. The landscape of the sport would never recover.
The tradition of sumo wrestling requires a hard-boiled egg introduced midway through the first round. But I understood that he was like, Ruckmen aren't really Ruckmen anymore because they don't do what Ruckmans are supposed to do. So I kind of understood that sort of thinking from him, but I think he's kind of gone too far in the other direction now. And now it's a case of where's the middle ground? What can the rule look like to satisfy both the spectacle of the game, but also keep Ruckman of all shapes and sizes relevant?
Yeah, well, it's hard, isn't it? Because you can't force them to jump, but you also you can't find. There's not really a way to do it while having them on the ground. Otherwise, you end up with the unpopular sumo, which I didn't think was a problem until people said it was a problem. I used to think it was okay.
Yeah.
I can see them adjusting it, but this might be something, to bring it back to Supercoach, this might be something that we have to consider in terms of the ruck scoring, is being ready to adapt as the enforcement changes.
Yeah.
And it's probably something that we haven't considered, right? Because there's a lot of ruck. Yeah, there's a lot of ruck combinations going around, Damo. Which might be a good segue.
I think the ruck rules have meant that a lot of people are staying nimble with how they want to set up their starting teams. And I'll tell people right now, my at the moment on my field, my ruck setup is Luke Jackson and Lockie McAndrew.
Crazy person. You're a crazy person.
It sounds like McAndrew is going to be the leading ruck for Adelaide, and he looked good in the practice match against Port Adelaide. We'll see him again against Fremantle. In fact, probably against the bloke that he's partnered up with in my team in the Community Series game on a Saturday, I believe it is. Yeah. So we will see what he looks like as the number one ruck and what that looks like around him. But I'm staying nimble because I do have options if it doesn't look good. It's just I don't really want to spend a lot of money on a ruck if the rules are going to dampen the scoring.
Yeah, I'm trying to shoehorn a way into to joke that your ruck one is Mason Cox. So you can't wait to see McAndrew versus Cox on Saturday.
Sean Darcy's fit now, actually, so it'll be Sean Darcy against Lockie McAndrew.
Very good. It's something that I think we genuinely have to consider, listeners. So make sure you plan around it. If you are pulling the expensive and rookie ruck option, give yourself a parachute. Find a way to have cash to bail out if that's not working, or if you have to jump to the guy who's actually performing. That's going to be the flexibility of it. I
actually want to just touch on something that Mini Monk on the coaches panel, he spoke about.
Is there a reason we haven't spoken about the coaches panel? I love the coaches panel.
The coaches panel, like, to be honest, this was already sort of my thinking, but I want to credit Mini Monk because he's probably put it into words better than I have in the past.
He's very handsome as well.
Yeah, he is very good at what he does in the looks department.
He's very good looking, and he's very good at what he does.
Yeah. So basically, we'll know on the Thursday night whether or not Lockie McAndrew is going to be the number one ruck and whether there's anyone with him or whether he's got the role for himself. And we've also got best 18 for the next 3 rounds after that. So if he doesn't work out in round 1, that you do have 3 weeks before full squad scoring returns to the platform. And whether that's you drop from an underperforming premium down to a rookie and then move one of your ruckmen up to a premium like a Tom DeConning type, then maybe then that's how you fix it, then that's fine. But you do have a bailout option with trades during the season, early on in the season, that doesn't affect the team for the entire year.
Yeah, that's good advice. Damo, before we get into the questions, I want to ask you what's on your watch list for the rest of the community season games. What are you looking for, and what decisions do you still have to make for your starting squad?
I'm still trying to nail down my rookies. I think on my field everything is set. My bench though is continually getting shuffled around.
Yeah.
And it's important that I have the right rookies in my team to get the cash generation, to get backup when I need it, all that sort of thing. So rookies and how the squads are made up is something that I'm looking at a lot. I also really need to see Joel Frazier in his center bounce role that they've been talking about, and that we saw a bit of in their practice match as well, in the Bulldogs practice match.
Very good. I'm still looking for the role on a few of my mid prices. I want to see Parrish do something again. I want to see him do anything again just to like really feel safe. I'm really keen to see Flanders get that mid role properly. And I'm very interested in Colby McKercher and whether or not it seems like he's going to maintain that really tasty role we're expecting him to have this year. Because these guys are really awkwardly priced in a way that if I get it wrong, that's 3 big pain points to have. It's a lot to fix early on, even though we'll get a few looks at it. But Colby McKercher is not cheap. Like, he's $450K. So there's genuinely, a reason of, well, why am I picking him over, or why would you pick him over a Nick Newman, or why would you pick him over a Christian Salem and spend the extra money? Damo, you look like you have something to say.
So Colby McKercher's injured and won't play in the practice match against Melbourne at Casey Fields.
Excellent.
Nick Newman is also suspended for the first 2 weeks of the season.
What do you get suspended for?
For something in the VFL practice match.
Very good. I've been out of football for a minute, so that's good to know. That's made a lot of decisions for me, Damo. Why would I spend up on him when I could buy Trent Rivers, who's named on the ball for Melbourne? $446K. Look at me learning live.
When you mentioned McKercher in the community series game, I had to double check to make sure the injury timeline, and then you mentioned Nick Newman, and I knew he was suspended, and so I was like, "Oh, Clarky, where have you got this information?
Where have I got this information from?" The problem wasn't that I didn't get any information. That was the main thing, is I didn't have any information,
and maybe our listeners didn't know either, so now they do as well.
That's fair. Look, sometimes when listeners, look, full disclosure, I've been trying to be a little bit more present, so I'm having periods where I'm trying to be on my phone less. This is going to sound weird and kind of like a little bit like woo-woo, I guess you'd describe it, or like a little bit, but like
you're trying to be a little less consistently online, which is
so
where a lot of
terrified as a parent. I'm so terrified that my 1-year-old is going to see me on my phone all the time and be like, "That's normal," because as somebody with mental health issues, I spend a lot of time on my phone because it's the distraction square.
Well, It's funny you say you're trying to be less consistently online. I'm seeing people like, have you seen the prices of digital cameras and stuff on eBay recently?
No.
It's gone through the roof because people are trying not to use their phone for everything. They're trying to have something that isn't always connected to the internet all the time. So the likes of digital cameras, the likes of ebook readers, all those sorts of things. The prices of them and the popularity of them is going through the roof because people are trying to be online less. So
welcome to the crunchy mailbag, where we are swearing off technology. I refuse to use an electronic stats keeping. I'll be doing all of my stats this season on an abacus and rock and stone. No, but yeah. So I apologize for that, listener. I got that one wrong. But that's good. That removes my issue. That removes my issue of watching Colby McKercher. So I'm going to have to make some decisions about where I want to replace that, because as much as we've seen that's good in that, I want to find someone else now, Damo. Actually, that's what I'm looking for. I want to find another defender. I want to find another like mid to. I've got $550K to spend on defender, which is the perfect amount if you ask a friend of the show, Lekdog.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm going to be looking out for in this pre-season community series games. Damien, you got some news about the traffic lights before we head to the questions, actually. Sorry, that was our main talking point.
I don't know if it's news, but I feel like I need to remind the listeners every season about the traffic lights and when they begin. So obviously we have the rookie traffic lights before round 1 to help you build your team. But the actual traffic lights with trade options, all coloured, don't actually come out until the prices start changing in round 3. So you'll get the rookie traffic lights and then a couple of weeks without them, and then they will return weekly from about round 3. So, and this happens every year. There is no difference from any other year. It's just I feel like I need to remind the community. I know our community loves the traffic lights, and they message me and our pages when they aren't up. But I need to remind them that they aren't actually returning in full capacity until round 3.
Thanks, Damo. Listeners, do you want to join the Mailbag Masters League? Because we still have spots left. DM us, email us, comment on any of the Mailbag Masters posts across our social media pages. All we need is your last 3 overall finishes. We're trying to create a top 10 league. Jump in. Give it a shot. We want to create the most successful league that we can, and we can only do it with your help, you beautiful, beautiful listener.
And I just want to say, we had a couple people message us during the week. I have actually accepted your applications. Application. Is that what we should call them? I've accepted your. I've accepted your interest. I don't know. I've sent you the codes, and you're still not in yet. So if you're still looking to join, make sure you check back and see if we've replied or not.
Yep, very good. Alrighty, listeners, let's get to the questions. Put on those little boots and put on your little hats. Let's head outside in the sunshine. Jason asks us, Damo, what do you recommend for the flex position? Rookie, mid-pricer, or primo? You know what? Everyone has a little bit of different flavor for this one, Damo. What are you doing?
At the moment, my flex position is Tanner Bruin.
Ooh.
I don't know exactly what I want to do with my flex position, and I think what I do with my ruck line or the rest of my premium setup will depend on that. But at the moment, it is Tanner Bruin. I think by the end of the season, your flex position should be a dual position player. But to start the season, I think it's just about making sure you have the right rookies and the right premiums in the right place, and a good amount of stepping stones that are priced below their price point in the right places. The flex position is just an extra place on field where you can either get a score that you can bank on or a player that is going to generate cash. So early on in the season, I think you can have any of those 3 categories sitting there. But towards the end of the season, or once your team is almost complete, you want a dual position guy sitting there.
Love it. Thanks, Damo. I don't actually have a plan for mine. I'm going to put whoever I think is best in there. At the moment, I'm kind of using them as like an extra ruck spot because there's a lot of ruck forwards and extra rucks are available. Mostly McAndrew and Duff Tyler for West Coast, who I have a passing interest in at the moment. I think generally I want to use it as a matchup-based square. So I want to have a little bit extra spice on my bench is the aim eventually to be able to do a matchup-specific selection. However, currently I'm using it for a rookie spot. I want to maximize those green dots for early economy. And McAndrew feels like a good person to have on field for that.
Fair enough.
Hope that helps you, Jason. Ro has written in and asks us, could you give a rundown of the draftees who are likely to feature in round 1? How close is the community match squads to full strength 23s?
Ro, I'm going to answer this a different way. I'm going to list 10 rookies who you can probably be pretty confident on starting in your team.
Yeah, Damo, throw some sound effects in here. Damo's locking the banks. Locking the bank rookies. Number 1.
So Sam Grill.
Number 2.
Josh Lindsay.
Number 3.
Lockie Jakes.
Number 4.
Jai Sarong.
Number 5.
Willem Dersma.
Well, howdy, it's number 6.
Jagger Smith.
Hello, I'm number 7.
I don't know what you're doing. Lockie McAndrew.
Number 8.
Devin Robertson.
Numero 9.
Leo Lombard.
Diaz.
And then number 10 is Will Brody.
Very good. You know what? We could ask for your reasons behind each of those guys, but I'm gonna take your word at face value. Any one of those guys you want to elaborate on specifically, Damo, that you think are better, or are they in order of preference?
I've pretty much looked at my team and gone top to bottom. So I haven't really gone in any specific order other than defense, mid, ruck, forwards.
I feel like it's very fair to say, given the information we have right now at the time of recording, Jagger Smith looks great.
Yes, he looks excellent.
He's so good at football, guys. It was so worth waiting a
And
year.
there are still 20% of teams out there that do not have him. So go and fix that.
Go and fix that. Jagger Smith, lock him in. Now, Damo,
I
how
will
close do you
say-
think the community match squads are to their full strength?
Most community match squads are about 18 of their best 23. Plus, they've got 3 extras on the bench. So there's probably about 4 or 5 from the best 23 missing, plus an extra 3 from their depth added into the squad, which makes it a little bit difficult to gauge how good a rookie is and whether they're going to play or not. I think for a lot of teams, they use it as an opportunity to be as full strength as possible, but they also don't want to put players in who are sore or have little niggles or anything like that to make whatever they have worse. I'm like, if it was during the season, these players would probably get up and play, but there's no point risking them in a community series game. So I think the Lions in the match against the Suns that is happening as we are recording, I think they've got like 10 players out of their first choice team.
Yeah, thinking that the community series team's more about system than necessarily just about getting some miles into the legs of your best 22s.
Yeah.
That being said, yeah, I think 18 is probably a good estimation.
It's probably got a team's 8. It's probably got 18 of the team's best 23 in it.
Yeah, so I think this actually is probably a really good point that we should make about the community series, which I think we made last week as well, which is you need to take into account the context of a player's performance. Don't just look at that player's performance in the community series match or a match simulation or whatever it is. Look at who's missing as well. Geelong is a really great example from the Carlton-Geelong game. We've got guys like Max Holmes scored 103. I think Max Holmes is pretty safe in his position, wouldn't you say, Damo?
Yeah.
Then we've also got Tom Atkins, finished with 102 Supercoach score. We had Bailey Humphries at 97, Tanner Bruin had 96, James Warple had 71. There is a big thing missing from this team that forms part of this narrative, which is no Bailey Smith.
And Patrick Dangerfield only played like 20 minutes.
He played like 5 seconds and then had a Suba.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is Patrick Dangerfield does. So that's a good example of remember the context of these scores. I'm not saying that the scores are unreliable entirely. They're indicative of potential. However, opportunity is an equal part of that for some of these guys. Specifically, I'm thinking like the Bruins, Warples, Atkins, with a Smith as well. And then, who else is going to run through there? Like Nevitt, Manor, O'Sheen, Mullen, I believe, is he's borderline like a tagger for them. So he could be anywhere abouts. So make sure that you're looking at that in these Amy Community Series games.
Yep.
Benji's written back to us, Damo.
Yes, he's got 2 questions.
He's got two. Well, one's a request and one's a question.
Yeah.
He has asked, are we all mad for changing our team structures to have a cheap ruck? I swear it's never worked for us.
I don't know if it's never worked for us.
We're both sides of the coin here, Damo.
I don't know if it's never worked for us, but the thing that we've got here with Lockie McAndrew in the case of the Adelaide Crows is that
is that the title of the mystery book? Lockie McAndrews in the case of the Adelaide Crows
is that he's been in the A side all preseason. He suits the new ruck rules, and Riley O'Brien's been nowhere to be seen when Lockie McAndrew's been rucking for the first choice squad. It's not like they've been in tandem together and one's going to drop out. Riley O'Brien hasn't been playing. Previously, we've had the likes of Braden Pruce swapping out with Max Gawn or Shane Mumford or Kieran Briggs, or you've had Matt or you've had Matt Flynn swapping out with Bailey Williams, or Tom Hickey or whatever it is. So we've had these guys partnering up in tandem with players in the preseason, and You've seen the fact that they can flip that switch pretty easily. Adelaide hasn't been doing that with Lockie McAndrew. They want Lockie McAndrew to lead their ruck department and then have backups behind him like a Toby Murray or a Riley Tilthorpe who aren't number one ruckman. So I think the Lockie McAndrew thing is a little bit different. But one thing I will say is I've also got an out clause here if it doesn't work.
A parachute, if you will.
Yes.
Damo, I have two questions. One, who was rucking with Tom Hickey around that time? Who was it? Oh, what was his name? Because we had Tom Hickey and then Sydney had another ruckman because Tom Hickey was always injured. Or the other guy was always injured.
Oh, it was Peter Laddams.
Peter Laddams, that's right. That takes me back. I miss Ruck Jesus so much. But thank God for Brodie Grundy, which I want to circle back to because you said something interesting about Brodie Grundy before we recorded that I want to get on film. Number two, I think we need to deregulate the term cheap ruck with the idea of choosing Lockie McAndrews. In the past, when we've had this discussion of, and Benji, feel free to correct me if miscontextualizing your question. Well, actually, you know what? Don't correct me. Love you. Thank you for the question. The idea that used to be that you'd pick like a big ruck, and then it was like, oh, I'm going to take a punt on Jordan Sweet because he's 300k. Oh, I'm going to take a punt on, not a great example now, but like Lloyd Meek before, like Ned Reeves when he was the ruckman at Hawthorn before Lloyd Meek stepped into that box. I'm going to take a punt at Peter Laddams because like you were picking guys who had potential but were established ruckmen in a system that wasn't like ruck positive. You know, like you had the Max Gawn and then you'd pick a 300k guy, or you know Tristan Cherry and you'd pick like a 400k guy. This like you said, Damo, McAndrew has the job. Like, that's the difference. Like he has the job. The new ruck rules kind of work for him. Let's watch this Amy Community Series game to actually see how he goes.
I forgot a very good point with Lockie McAndrew.
Go on.
He was the number one rated ruckman in the Sandful in the Sandful last season, and the Sandful have a lot of the ruck rules that the AFL has introduced this year.
Very good. So he's playing with the rules himself. So there's a little bit more data to suggest that McAndrew is a safe pick rather than picking a guy who is always going to average 80. You know, you're picking a ruck who's always going to average between 70 and 90. Because the downside with McAndrew is that in the worst case scenario, he still makes cash. Like he's so cheap and he has the number one role that even if it doesn't work out points wise, you can just buy out. You can just cash out anytime because he's 140 odd K, 120k.
120k, yeah. He's basement price.
Yeah, he's 120k and he's the ruckman. The only ruckman. Even if we're worried about the limited ruck scoring, even if we're worried about his ability to maintain that position, maybe there's a reason that Rob isn't the number one ruck and they're going to change that later in the season. So I agree with you. I don't think it's ever really worked when we've gone for the cheap ruck. When you're searching for value in a line that's kind of, you're either a top tier ruck or you're not. McAndrew is an exception to that. And even I would say Duff Tyler, because they seem to be players who have opportunity, have a role. And there's actually, the only downside is really missing the points, but you use that extra money to have an extra premium. So you're kind of not even losing the points, really, if you have McAndrew, but you add Connor Rosie to your defensive line. You know, if you have Duff Tyler in, you know, your flex or whatever, but that gives you an opportunity to take a punt on a Darcy Parish and have some cash in the bank. Planning around it, I think, is the main thing. Anyway, my rant's over for that.
No, it all makes sense.
But I agree with Benji, but I also agree with you, Damo. Contextually, we just need to have that idea in our head. Benji has also made the request. Clarky, can you please pick Lawson Humphreys? I was mad keen on him from the Origin last week, but it's just giving me Amon vibes from last year. Not quite top 6.
Hey, Clarky, you said you were looking for a defender. Colby McKerch is injured, so you can't look at him. Nick Newman's suspended, so you can't go down to him. Lawson Humphreys. Lawson Humphreys, how about it?
I don't. Here's the thing, right? This position is D3. I don't know. I don't know that Humphreys is the pick for me, but also it's like is his floor 90 or is his ceiling 90?
Look, I understand where Benji's coming from. He did look great in the practice
I
game.
love Lawson Humphreys. Like
but-
objectively,
and-
so
and-
good to watch.
And off the back of the community series game, he will enter a lot of teams. But the thing is, it was a community series game where there's always someone that sort of bobs their head up out of nowhere, and you're never quite sure if it's the real thing or not.
Let me do something that I should have done beforehand because I forgot it existed until now. Please keep going.
The best thing about Lawson Humphreys, though, is we get a second look at him in opening round.
Yeah, we do.
With a Cats team that is hopefully closer to full strength. So I really like the idea of a Lawson Humphreys option, but I don't know if I would pick him off the back of a State of Origin community series game.
Sorry, I'm trying to look at his heat map from DFS. It seems like he is playing off the halfback demo, which makes me very interested in him because that's not really a position I see impacted by Bailey Smith, who was missing from that team. And Tom Stewart was also playing, if I'm correct.
Well,
if I remember rightly.
Humphreys and Bruin, they were both sort of partnered up and Tom Stewart had very little influence. And then Bruin was moved into the center and onto the wing, and then it kind of brought all three of them in. So I like Tanner Bruin as a kind of mid-price, almost elevated rookie price kind of player, but I'm worried about Tanner Bruin's role. If Tanner Bruin's in defense, does that mean that Tom Stewart's role is diminished a little bit? If Tom Stewart is good, then does that diminish Lawson Humphreys' role a little bit? That's why opening round, especially for Geelong players, is going to be so good to watch because we'll be able to see everything working together in a game where it matters.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to pick him. Okay. He's in there for now. He can be my placeholder until I forget to change him after round one. How's that?
I actually do like the pick, but I need to see it in a real game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks so much for that, Benji. And we finish off with Wayne asking us, is Dev Robinson, danger Dev Robinson. God, I'm tired. It's been a long day. Hey, Dev Robertson, trick or treat? Damo?
I mean, they got him for free, so West Coast didn't give up anything for him, but they've been after him for a long time, for a few years now. I think there was a trade period 2 years ago. Dev Robertson had only played about 14 senior games up until that point, and they wanted an early second-round pick from West Coast. West Coast did not want to offer that for Dev Robertson because he literally had not shown his worth to be worth that much, but they really wanted him. They've wanted him for a long time, and he is related to a former player who I forget the name of, but I think it might be Drew Banfield or something that he's related to, cousin of or something. So there's some bloodline with another West Coast Eagles great there. So I think he's got it in his blood to play for the West Coast Eagles, and I think the Eagles love him as part of their midfield rotation. And I think he's going to be a treat.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm willing to take a punt on Dev Robertson for that really low price as well as a forward, manifesting everything I can. I like Dev Robertson more than I like Finlay McRae.
Oh, I don't think Finlay McRae or Harry Schonberg play. I think Dev Robertson is the one out of those three that they got who's going to play because they've been after him for a long, long time. And it's Darren Glass that Dev Robertson is related to, not Drew Banfield.
Yeah, got it.
But yeah, I think Dev Robertson is a rookie you can pick in the forward line and play on field.
Really?
Yes.
Now that's amore, Damo.
So I think he is a treat and then some.
And then a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
You've gone up to a door with your little basket, and instead of giving you one little Mars bar, Dev Robertson is that big full-size family Mars bar.
Yeah, Dev Robertson is a full-size Mars bar.
Yeah.
There it is. And with that, we come to the end of another footy mailbag. How about that, Damo?
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah,
very questions?
Good. That's it. Now, if you haven't given us a rating or review on your listening platform of choice, please do so. It helps us quite a lot, makes us look really good. It helps the apps suggest us to new listeners. Also, if you're on our YouTube, if you're listening on YouTube, make sure you give us a like, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you hit bells, everything that you need to do. Get us across any platform. You can find us on X at Footy Mailbag, and also we're on Facebook as Footy Mailbag. We're at the Footy Mailbag on Instagram, and don't forget to head to thefootymailbag.net for our website, on which there is the community series wrap-up notes. Our team reveals are coming to that website, and I don't know, Damo, we've announced it, but the captain's articles, they're coming.
Captain's articles are coming. All of our season content is going to be on the website, as well as our socials. So
with our beautiful new staff writer, I guess, Nate.
Yep, Nate. He's going to be in charge of the captain's articles. Very excited to see how they all come up during the season.
Can you legally call them staff if you're not paying them? Our volunteer writer, Nate, is going to be doing the captain's articles this year, and I'm very excited to see what Nate brings to the website. Damo, where can people find you on the internet?
At DamoSC on Twitter.
That's right, and you can find me at QuantumJC, but you can also find me at Falcon Footy Pod. We're back, baby. We recorded an episode, the beautiful Chris and Cass. We came back and we spoke about the off-season and those kinds of things. But we're doing it for real. Next week, we're going to talk about the community series matches. And we're also going to be talking about The Final Siren, the AFL documentary that came out today. I'm going to find some time to watch that, and we'll talk about that on the Falcon. So make sure you follow us and listen. It'll be good. Be a good time. 2 great podcasts hosted by me in the same week. Anyway, bless this mess, listeners. I love you. We'll see you next time.
Bye.